Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Live Ones. I am Big Matt, your capper extraordinaire, and it is here, the first full Saturday of college football. Already, we've seen a near upset Thursday night as the Colorado Deons continued to show that their program is all sizzle and no steak. They spent most of the game trailing the FCS North Dakota State Bison and relied on Travis Hunter to bail their asses out of the fire, out of every wounded duck that Shador Sanders threw up on a wing and a prayer. They had nothing else. No running game to speak of. They were still getting beat on both sides of the line the whole game, just like last year. Zero defense whatsoever. Had there been 15 more seconds on the clock, it's very likely the Bison would have won that game outright. And as it stands now, we will be auto betting the team total of every Colorado opponent until such time as it loses. North Carolina lost their starting quarterback for the year with a broken leg. Max Johnson, son of Super Bowl winning quarterback Brad Johnson, went down on a sack in the third quarter in the game against Minnesota. Probably an unceremonious end to his football career. He's on his third school in 5 seasons. Couldn't catch on as a starter anywhere he went. I would not be looking for the Tar Heels to be doing anything in the ACC this year. It's our first Super Saturday of the football season. We've got week 1 of college football and some baseball to go over today. Let's get right to it. And we're going to start. The first game we'll be looking at today is Penn State and West Virginia in Morgantown. Penn State is ranked number 8 to start the year, and for the life of me, I don't know why. They're certainly one-dimensional in terms of their talent. It's all in their front 7 on defense, which on paper certainly looks like one of the best units in the country, but I just have to question where their points are going to be coming from. This was a team that was 61st in the country in terms of its pass blocking grade last year, and as such graded out as at 75th in yards per play, 85th in explosive pass play rate, and 93rd in explosive run play rate. That was last year. And they've lost the 2 best wide receivers and the 3 best offensive linemen that they did have to graduation. They've got a new offensive coordinator in Andy Kotelnicki from Kansas, who's going to be tasked with getting something out of these nobodies. You can bet there are going to be some growing pains first game out, especially on the road. West Virginia is going to be a much better team than people realize. Quarterback Garrett Green had a breakout season last year, and the Mountaineers have a duo in running backs in Jaheim White and C.J. Donaldson Jr. That made their rushing offense the 10th in the nation last year. All 3 of those players return and form one of the more exciting offenses in the Big 12. They're heavily leaning on the run game, also chews up a ton of clock. Their glaring weakness is their defense, 90th in the country last year in yards allowed, but I just really don't think Penn State has the talent to exploit that. I'm not kidding when I say this Nittany Lions offense has no one on it with a track record of being a playmaker at this level. All told, I think this is a low-scoring slog of a game where Penn State struggles to find their footing on offense, and West Virginia is going to be able to keep it more competitive against Penn State's monster defense than people think. Give me the under 50.5 points today. Virginia Tech and Vanderbilt. Virginia Tech's roster remains almost completely the same from last season when they took a big jump from a 3-9 to a 7-6 team. Of the 29 Hokies who played at least 300 snaps last year, 25 of them are back this year. That stability is a major reason why many people expect the Hokies to be even better this year. Vanderbilt, as usual, their basement dweller, coming off a 2-10 season where they fired every single skill position coach on their staff. It's a whole new look and a new quarterback in New Mexico State transfer and former Conference USA Offensive Player of the Year, Diego Pavia. Pavia is one of the thousands of college guys we've seen over the decades that's basically a running back who plays under center. He's going to do a lot of RPOs and run at the Hokie line a lot, and that's not going to go well for him. Virginia Tech's defense was stout against the run last year. They're returning every starter in their front 7, and they've added a great piece in the transfer portal and defensive tackle Aeneas Peebles from Duke, who I have graded as a 4th-round NFL draft pick next year. The Hokies' weakness on defense is in their secondary, and Vanderbilt simply just doesn't have the talent at quarterback or wide receiver to exploit that. It's going to be a long day for that offense. Give me Vanderbilt's team total under 16.5 points today. Nebraska and UTEP. The Cornhuskers, they need to start doing something. Anything. For 10 years since this program fired Bo Pelini because, 10 wins every single year wasn't good enough for him. They've been plagued by absolute ineptitude by administration after administration. Now they brought in Matt Rule of Temple and Baylor fame, who seemed to start riding the ship a little bit last year, and then made a massive splash by landing the best quarterback recruit in the country in Dylan Raiola. who by all accounts from training camp is coming in ready to ball out. The UTEP defense was absolutely terrible last year, and the good players that they did have are now all gone. Only 5 starters are back from a unit that was 88th overall and 128th overall against the run. The Miners, however, do have a new offensive coordinator and are expected to be much more up-tempo and deploy much more of a passing attack this season. So I like the over 48.5 points today. I think Matt Rule understands he needs to make a statement here in the home opener. I'm excited to see what the top quarterback prospect in the country can do. UTEP has a terrible defense that's likely to be even worse this year than last, and I think this total gets up into the mid-50s easily. Heading into a night game, Michigan opening up the season in Ann Arbor against a really pleasant surprise last year in the 9-4 Fresno State Bulldogs. The defending national champions were, of course, mired in controversy for a number of reasons. Ultimately, Jim Harbaugh abandoned ship for the NFL, and new head coach Sharon Moore is inheriting a team that, suffice it to say, is not going to be the same Wolverine team as last year. Michigan lost 13 starters to the NFL draft. That's an insane level of production that's going to be missing, particularly on offense. Moore still hasn't settled on a quarterback. Alex Orji is nominally the starter, but he's absolute garbage when he's not running the ball. And he failed to win the battle for the starting job against the former walk-on in Davis Warren. This might actually be a quarterback by committee game, and it's very likely the new coaching staff with an unsure quarterback situation is going to be very tentative coming out week 1. Fresno State, meanwhile, is looking to build off of a really good season last year. They've got a genuine star in quarterback Mikey Keene. He's coming back for his second season in Fresno. He's transferred from UCF. Doesn't have the size to be an NFL starter one day, but he's a great prototypical college quarterback. Drops absolute dimes. He's a very accurate passer. Threw for just shy of 3,000 yards last year with 24 touchdowns and 10 picks. And he's backed by running back Malik Sherrod, who's just an absolute speed demon. Gets so much explosiveness out of the blocks. He averaged 5.6 yards a carry last year and finished with just under 1,000 rushing yards. There's absolutely no reason Michigan's not going to win this game in Ann Arbor, but I fully expect the Bulldogs to give a good accounting of themselves with just how many question marks the Wolverines' offense has and how much NFL quality talent they lost on both sides of the ball after last year. 21 is just way too big a number. Give me Fresno State as the road dog here, plus 21 points. I actually think they keep it within 2 touchdowns. So that's it for week 1 of college football. Let's talk baseball today, and one of the games I like today is the Padres and the Rays. The Rays have lost 6 out of their last 8 and have rapidly fallen off the pace in the hyper-competitive AL East. The Padres stumbled a little bit in their series against the Cardinals, but then roared to a 13-5 win over the Rays in the opener last night. The lineups here are just no comparison. 1 through 6, the Padres lineup is as good as any in baseball, and they average a full run of offense per game more than the Rays. The Rays have the better starter on the mound today in Shane Baz and the better bullpen, but it's just really, really hard to overlook the better, much, much better lineup on the Padres' part, and the fact that the Rays just don't seem to be trying anymore. You get to that point when you get to September in baseball. There are teams that just know that they're not going to make it. They're not going to make it into the postseason. And the Rays are one of them this year. While the Padres are battling with both the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks in what's going to be a really, really exciting 3-way race for the division coming into September. Looks like that's, I think 2 of the wild card teams in the National League are going to be coming out of the West, and I still have no idea who's going to win that division. You're getting a great price on the Padres tonight as the road team take the Padres on the money line. And the last play tonight is on the Red Sox and the Tigers. This one's nice and simple, folks. Tariq Skubal is the runaway lock for the AL Cy Young. And while the Red Sox have a pretty decent lineup that hits lefties a little better than righties, Skubal is just so dominant that it's hard to imagine any lineup knocking him around for a lot of runs. Nick Pivetta takes the mound for the Red Sox. He's obviously not on Skubal's level, but Pivetta still ranks in the top half of the league in ERA, opponent batting average, strikeout rate, and walk rate. Plus, it's the Tigers. Aside from Kerry Carpenter and Riley Green, there's just not a lot of offensive pop on this team to speak of. So give me the under 7.5 runs tonight. That is the 6th and final play. Everyone bet safe, stay safe. Follow us on X at Live One Sports. Check us out on Roku and Fire TV at the Live Ones. Have yourself a great Super Saturday of sports, and I will see you tomorrow.